Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Know Thy Foe Imperial Guard video. So today's video will be the second of three lists that I think are the most broken lists that Chaos Space Marines can put together. Okay, I've had a few requests by people for Know Thy Foe videos, and these are the list that I'm presenting. The first one was the big bullshit plague trees of Nurgle. The second one that I'm doing today is basically the zombie apocalypse, and I've talked about this list before. The third one, you'll have to wait and see. I haven't actually played against that one yet. I'll try and get a game in against it soon. If not, I'll just theory craft it. But it'll still give you an idea for what you guys need to be on the lookout for. So today's video is again another Nurgle one. It is the zombie apocalypse list. And it essentially revolves around the concept of taking some Poxwalkers, combining an insane amount of buffs on them, and making them an almost unstoppable juggernaut. Okay, how it basically works is you need to take 2 to 3 Poxwalker units. Okay, and you need to take, on top of 2 to 3 Poxwalker units, pretty much as many cultists as you can get your hands on. Multiple blocks of 30 to 40, whatever the maximum size is, that's what you want to take. I think you probably want about, I'd say, if you can get 200, then take 200, because cultists are only 4 points each. So it's only 800 points to take that many. You could probably get away with about 180. Okay? And then you also take your Poxwalkers as well. You then want to take Fabius Bile and a number of sort of Chaos Lords and Sorcerers. Okay? Now, you concoct all this, and you support this with, once you've taken about 200 infantry, and you've taken 2 or 3. You take Typhus as well. Don't forget Typhus. You need Typhus. So once you've taken Typhus, about 40 Poxwalkers, 160 cultists, and about 2 sorcerers and a couple of Chaos Lords. And then after that, you just take as many Obliterators as you can get your hands on. Obliterators are fantastic this edition. Because you need the Obliterators because you need some decent anti-tank. Also, you need some that you can throw into your opponent's face to make him shoot them. Now, how does this work? Well, basically, the concept works around the Poxwalkers. The Poxwalkers are key to beating this list. The reason they're the key to beating this list is that they have a special rule called the Walking Dead or something like that. And essentially, that's what it's called Curse of the Walking Pox. Okay, now, as normal, what the Curse of the Walking Pox special rule does, it means that any time a enemy unit dies to the Poxwalkers, like in combat, then you get to add 1 model to the unit. So that's generally fine. However, there is a stratagem for 1 command point that the Death Guard get access to called the Dead Walk Again. And you select 1 unit of Poxwalkers, and each time an infantry model other than a Poxwalker, friend or foe, is slain within 7 inches, add 1 model to the unit. What this allows you to do is essentially every time one of your cultists is killed, if you're good enough with your spacing, every time one of your cultists is killed, they come back as a Poxwalker. So you could kill 160. You have to kill 160 cultists twice. That's quite hard to do, considering that it's easy to kill the cultists themselves. They're only toughness 3 with the 6 of save. When they come back as Poxwalkers, they come back really, really strong. Okay? Because Poxwalkers can be buffed to insane levels. I mean, as standard, they're strength 4, toughness 3. Because you've taken Typhus, they get, I believe, +1 strength, +1 toughness. So they become strength 5, toughness 4. Okay? And then, now I'm not sure if it's just +1 toughness with Typhus. But the +1 toughness is the important part. Because you then take Fabius Bile. And what Fabius Bile does, it means is you can do enhanced warriors, where you choose a unit, any Heretic Astartes infantry unit, which Poxwalkers are, and he can do this to 1 unit per movement phase, and each unit can only be blessed once. And you roll a d3, and they get a bonus. On a 1, they get +1 strength, which is pretty good, because you can get strength 5, toughness 4 Poxwalkers. On a 2, they get +1 toughness, so they become strength 4, toughness 5. And then on a 3, they get +1 attack, which is just good because it ups their damage output. Because don't forget, Poxwalkers have 2 attacks each base. This would give them 3 attacks. Now, admittedly, you have to roll a dice for each member of the unit. And for each 6 that you roll, you take a mortal wound. But Poxwalkers have Disgustingly Resilient, so they can take a 5 but feel no pain against that roll. Also, you do it at the very beginning of the game. This is the key. You do it at the very beginning of the game when there's only 20 Poxwalkers in that unit. Okay? That buff doesn't ever go away. So every cultist that dies and comes back as a Poxwalker in the enhanced unit gets the buffs as well. It's not like you have to separate the ones that join later. No, they all get the buffs. So it's insane. It's absolutely insane. So what you have... Now, some of you might be saying, well, just shoot the Poxwalkers. Don't shoot the cultists. Shoot the Poxwalkers. Okay, yeah, that is a really, really good idea apart from one problem. The Death Guard have another stratagem called Cloud of Flies, and you guessed it, it only costs 1 command point. Use a stratagem during your movement phase, select a Death Guard infantry unit. Guess what? Poxwalkers are a Death Guard infantry unit. Until the start of your next movement phase, enemy models can only shoot this unit if it is the closest visible target. So, what you do is you surround your Poxwalkers in cultists so that the enemy has to kill the cultists, but then they come back as Poxwalkers. So for every model he kills, they come back as a stronger, better model. Crazy. Now, it gets... Some of you might be saying, well, why are you taking 2 units of Poxwalkers? Why are you taking 2 units of Poxwalkers? You can only do these buffs to 1 unit at a time. The 2 units are insurance against going second. If you go second and your opponent knows your list, he'll try... If you only took 1 unit of Poxwalkers, your opponent will blast that unit off the table before they can get any buffs. You take 2 units because it's relatively hard to remove 40 Poxwalkers. Relatively. Some armies can do it. But generally speaking, it's quite hard to do. Especially at maximum range, which is what you're going to be at. So that's why you take 2 units. So what you've got here is a big unit of Poxwalkers, which can't be targeted unless they're the closest enemy unit. Which every time every time a model, friend or foe, dies around, they get stronger. And basically, every time you kill a cultist, they come back stronger and stronger and stronger. Is that the end of the buffs? You bet your bottom dollar it isn't. Because if you take a lot of your cultists, because remember, let's take a look at the Dead Walk again. It's any time, friend or foe, a model is slain. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be Death Guard, it's any time. If you take a load of your cultists as Alpha Legion cultists, okay, now you've got to be careful. But if you take some, because you sort of want your cultists to die, and then they come back as Poxwalkers. Of course, you want that. Those cultists are going to be coming towards you quickly. But the reason Well, you don't have to take them as Alpha Legion, but the reason why it can be so powerful, if you take 1 or 2 squads of your cultists as Alpha Legion, you don't make them all Alpha Legion, you just want to take 1 or 2 squads as Alpha Legion. Because well, I don't say you, the enemy will take 1 or 2 squads as Alpha Legion. Because when they die, when you wipe a unit of Alpha Legion cultists out, you can then use command points to use Tide of Traitors plus forward operatives. Because Tide of Traitors means every time you can bring back all the cultists that just died from that unit, you can bring back a unit of cultists, and forward operatives means you can deploy them pretty much anywhere you want. So guess what? Deploy them around your Poxwalkers again, so that you can make the Poxwalker squad even bigger. So even if you wipe out all the cultists, the enemy can still bring them back and still bring in reinforcements for his unit. Crazy. Do the buffs end there? Nope. There is one more thing you can do to beat this list. Okay? Well, not beat this. Sorry. One more thing this list can do to beat you around the head. Okay? Magic powers. Psychic phase. I'm going to say it. Warp time. Warp time is insane. Don't forget also Miasma Pestilence, but what Warp Time allows you to do is basically move the unit forward again. Don't forget you've got things like the Talisman and stuff which can make them move further forward, I believe. I'm not entirely certain, but I think there's ways of making them move far forward. Long story short, the enemy can Warp Time the Poxwalkers so they can get to you really fast. You can also put Miasma Pestilence on them, so even if they become the closest unit, they are -1 to hit. It's crazy. Because don't forget, Miasma Pestilence is the warp charge value of 6. If manifest, select a visible Nurgle Heretic Astartes unit within 8 inches of Psychic until the start of the next Psychic phase. Your opponent must subtract 1 from all the hit rolls to target that unit. There you go. Crazy, crazy. So how can you beat this list? Well, I've not beaten it. I've not beaten this list. It is really, really, really good. Okay. I mean, it's extremely powerful, as you can tell. The way to beat it is to try and be clever with your target prioritization. Okay. There are sort of 3 elements that you need to use to beat it. Okay. One is read the stratagem about the Dead Walk again. It's models within 7 inches. Now, if your opponent is taking huge amounts of cultists, but relatively small, it's difficult to get them all within range of the Poxwalkers, or it can be. Your job is to hit the fringe units. Okay, hit the fringe units. Hit the units that aren't in range of the Poxwalkers. Kill what you can kill. Without to the best ability, without trying to increase the size of the Poxwalkers. That's the first thing you want to do, because that means those cultists are dead and they're not coming back. Okay. Second thing you want, I also don't forget you want to target the obliterators and stuff. Second thing you want to do is take advantage of the fact that this list, if you take out the oblits, can do nothing against flyers. You could quite easily fly around and blast chunks out of this list, and you'd have to be really do your hardest to not lose all your ground units. But you can have 2 or 3 Valkyries flying around, providing a lot of support. Valkyries, you can hover them for a few turns. You can get the multiple rocket pods, which a 2d6 strength 5 AP -1 hits. You can get 2 heavy bolts, and you can get a multi-laser. You can buff them with Yarick, or if you catch on Harker. I'm not sure if Harker still affects them actually, because they've got their own regiment, haven't they? But anyway, point is that you can get some rerolls, and you can be Cadian, I think. I'm not sure how it works, but anyway, point is they're weak to flyers. You got some vultures. They got the Vulture gunship from Forge World. I think it puts out 40 shots. Nice, very nice. So that's flyers you want to consider, target prioritization you want to consider, snipers. Sniper spam. You could take an inordinate amount of ratlings for a reasonable price. You could take 40 ratlings and just shoot the Poxwalkers, because snipers, because the cultists don't have, this list doesn't have a lot of firepower. I mean, it's got a lot of auto guns, but you outrange auto guns with your sniper rifle. So you could sit your ratlings back and just snipe the crap out of the Poxwalkers. Every Poxwalker that you're able to kill, you know, it doesn't come back. If you go first, you must kill. You know, if you're lucky and you go first, you've got to target the Poxwalkers. Okay. Once the Poxwalkers are gone, the list is dog shit. It's terrible. It's just 160 cultists running around with no upgrades. You can just kill that easy. When I faced this list, I wanted to see how many cultists I could kill. I was able to kill about 70 cultists in one turn from long range. Not bad. I mean, they all came back as Poxwalkers and then they ate my face off. But you see what I mean? Like, once you've killed the Poxwalkers, the cultists themselves are easy pickings. The last thing you want to remember is that you can still charge units which aren't the closest. So a big old unit of Bullgrins, like 10 Bullgrins with a slab shields, they could tie this up for a long time. That's 30 toughness 5 wounds the enemy's got to get through. With a 2-up save. Yeah, that's the enemy's going to struggle to get through all that. So they're the things you'd have to do to leverage to win. Now, a pure dedicated close combat army would actually do pretty well against this. You just have to let the Poxwalkers charge some sort of bait unit. That's the last thing you can do. Is if your opponent is maybe not particularly skilled and is net listing and he's bought this list but he's not particularly good at using it, he just expects to steamroll people. What you could do is expect him to get overconfident, wait for him to charge his Poxwalkers out first, sacrifice some kind of bait unit, and then just counter-attack with the best that you can do. So, yeah, so this is the second bullshit list. As you can see, it's very, very powerful. The guy that used this list is the same guy that used the tree list. So like I said, he loves to break 40k. And he's great to play against because he uses some of the most competitive lists, going. He took this list to a recent tournament. Was it Caledonian Uprising? Maybe. I think there's been a recent Caledonian Uprising. I didn't go to it, unfortunately. And I think he won every game but one, and he lost to Flyer and Spam. So there you go. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please leave lots and lots of comments. How would you beat this list? I've talked about this list once before on the channel, and I remember one of my Black Templar subscribers saying that he was able to beat it by waiting for it to come close, not causing any damage to it, and then dogpiling it with like 40 Crusaders backed up by chaplains and lieutenants. So they all got reroll hits, rerolls to wound. So that's an example of how you can beat it in close combat. But yeah, what do you guys think of the list? What do you guys think of my ideas for beating it? Do you guys have any ideas for beating it? Let's share the knowledge so that we can beat these bullshit OP lists. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.